Right, can we see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Super, let's go. John and Sandra and Murtagh, thank you very much indeed, because for me, I really struggle with a lot of people in these videos, so it's a long time ago.
Mags, could we just say at the start that some of us are much too young to have actually experienced these events, and that most of our knowledge has been derived from photographs. And here,
the Irish Dinghy, the IDRA stands for Irish Dinghy Racing Association, and it was founded just after the war, I think, with Douglas Hurd playing a key role in its foundation, but I wasn't there, but I think so. And they later evolved into the Irish Yachting Association, which is now the Irish Sailing Association. But they were very much the pioneers of dinghy racing after the war, although of course dinghies like the Shannons and the Wags had been around beforehand. And there's the AA's spelling of yacht. I think it's the right way to spell it. And there's a building that's gone. I don't know where it is.
I think it looked very well in red.
Yes,
super in red. Yeah, I agree.
The upstairs part was known as the aviary because there were bunks up there for the ladies.
they were uncomfortable.
And these are some of the idea. The Irish Dinghy Racing Association commissioned a design for dinghies from for the IDRA 14 footers, and they're still going strong. O'Brien-Kennedy, I think, was the designer. So the IDRA used to run a dinghy week for a big assembly of dinghies of all classes in various yacht clubs in Ireland. Eventually it died out because it just got so big, no yacht club could cope with it.
We ran the last one in Derg in 1986, I think it was. Yeah. They tried to revive it, but it was a dead.
I believe I'm correct in saying that Douglas Hurd won the first one and John Weaving won the second one.
Yes.
There's Bertie Waller's Good Caravan.
To be kind, is that one of
the camera?
The man back was what is his name?
I think this is the 64, brand new Bertie Waller's 64. Subsequently burnt and broken up.
Oh no!
Juliana Walter.
That's Walter
Leving and Alf, of course.
And Alf rubbing his bottom.
It looks the same today.
Yeah. And look, the hat hasn't changed.
No, we don't. The grand lady in the boiler suit.
We don't know. We just don't.
I suspect it may be a Waller daughter, but Jocelyn might be able to cast a light on that.
No, you know some of these, don't you? Yeah, definitely.
Do we know any of these people?
I think it's Bunny Goodbody in the.
Yeah, I think it is in the Berry. Yeah.
And that's possible. There's Walter went down the jetty. That's possibly Reggie on the right. But,
yeah, we agree on that.
That's Peter Dobbs in the foreground. He'll reappear.
Yeah.
That's Harry Minchin in the hat.
Harry Minchin, the club secretary, walking up.
Properly dressed.
It's so striking that so many people are smoking, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, all the best people who smoked pipes turned them upside down if the weather was getting rough when they were sailing.
I remember that.
The 44 there I found in the Limerick gasometer years later as a safety boat in case anyone fell into the water.
In 1950, she would have been known by G. Whitfield. I don't think I've ever heard that name.
No.
Look at the flag.
I love the way that everybody used to sit on the back seat at the time.
Yes.
Now, that's Con Jackson on the right. and it's
Eric Goodbody inside, and then
Bill Fahey with the
Bill
fag.
Fahey, yeah.
and the man on the left who's just got a
It's
picture. is
Desmond Fitzgerald.
Desmond Fitzgerald. Yeah. Yeah, the Colonel looks great, doesn't he?
Yeah, bottle of whiskey at his foot.
This is the yachting.
The yachting.
Going from
we have a fair number of pictures of the yachting in this.
Yeah.
There's
It's a great turnout of fleet.
for those who are of that ilk. The mark rounding is remarkably awful.
These are the good guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Oh, 33 sneaks in, does she?
Now,
Oh,
there we go.
Bit light for that, I think.
I don't know why that fell over.
No buoyancy, no life jackets.
No buoyancy, no life jackets.
and in their ordinary clothes.
And properly dressed gentlemen wore a suit or sports jacket, collar and tie.
One needed the pockets.
Now, a 3-horse seagull to the rescue.
Is that Lygia Waller in the water?
It
I
looks a
think
bit
it
like
is,
her.
yeah.
There's the 37.
There's 7, yeah.
Either first or last, but probably first.
Note the boats have no kicking straps.
Not a kicking strap.
There are 1 or 2 that have.
1 or 2, yeah, but
Yeah.
mostly without.
They got in, they obstructed the crew.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people don't worry about the crews.
No.
Oh, is it 50? No, 56.
55.
55, yeah.
Peggy Turbot.
Peggy Turbot and Cecil.
And an appalling course where you go from a run and on around a jibe and then right up on the wind again.
Yeah.
They're all fixed
Fixed.
marks. I mean,
It was number 1 line, Hazel Point, Corrakeen's at home.
that's
Yeah.
it.
And for the Belleye was out to the Mountaineer. Now we sail out at the Mountaineer.
Yes.
Who's 65? I never remember her. 54 is Con Jackson.
Con Jackson, yeah.
And 44 is this man.
Well,
65 is Corbalus.
Corbalus.
Journey Corbalus.
Johnny Corbalus, yeah.
Yeah.
And 54 became Ronnie Baskin.
No. 44 became Ronnie Baskin.
Yeah, sorry. 44.
54 at this time was Archie
Con
Moran.
Jackson. Was
Right.
it? Who was it?
Archie Moran.
Oh, Archie Moran, right, yeah.
Yeah.
He is said to have fallen out with the club, but we don't know the details.
He appears in a shot later on in the
He does, yeah.
film, yeah.
I think really interesting on some of these is that the no public harbour, the Hippo pool is not built, the old clubhouse. There's so many things. There's no harbour. There's so many things in the background that are interesting that have changed.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the finishing line, of course,
Especially
used to be in
the
front of the castle.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people here we don't know.
That's Peter Dobbs.
Yes, I thought it was.
Beside the man with the
Scratching
white
his
jumper.
head.
Yeah,
Glasses.
There's Pompey. There.
yes.
Am I right about that, Harman?
Not sure.
I wonder, are they a lot of IDRA 14 people that we don't know
Could
them?
be, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, these are in the shed anyway, the
Yeah.
sail shed,
Sail,
which was
The 46 is Pompey, the Gaviota.
yes.
Pompey is Vincent Delaney, Alf's brother, Margaret's uncle.
Yep.
diving.
Mm,
Before he tried the 70. Before he tried the experiment on the 70. The
Yes,
banana boat.
banana boat.
No nonsense of leaning out or anything like that.
No,
Oh,
not
goodness,
good,
no.
no.
Isn't it the second?
No toe straps.
Well, true enough. You forget about these things, don't you?
No life jackets. No
Curl your toes under the thwart.
Remember that. My legs were always too short.
nothing.
Actually, and the other thing I was just thinking, we didn't have central blocks on the seat for the main sheet at this time. There used to be a hook at the back of the
There was a
center.
hook. Yes.
Some hook.
Awful
Yeah.
blooming yoke.
Yeah.
And you had to, every time you tapped, you had to turn the
it
sheet
the other way.
on this kind of
And yeah.
one-sided hook at the back of the box.
That's right.
It bit your shins every time you turned around too.
Yes, and it was really, you could hardly pull the blooming
Yep.
mane through it. It was so stiff.
Vicious thing.
It was probably only in the 70s when we all started getting those central
Yeah.
main sheet blocks,
I think it was later.
the ratchet blocks.
The advantage of it was that it sort of eased the pull on the mane. It was easier to hold, you know, in a hard wind.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it pulled it down more too, and they
Yeah,
days
it
before
did.
kicking straps. I think it had that benefit.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's Pompey going around.
Mm.
Oh, terrible jibes, wasn't it?
How did people manage to sail and keep their hats on?
But they weren't out in such heavy weather.
Well, that's true, I suppose.
But we didn't have harders, harassers, or any of those things
No.
over our main
Good
sheets
buddy
at the time.
Golders.
Yeah.
Good buddy Gorders or Delaney
Yeah.
Dementors.
Yeah. But actually, if you look at that sail on that boat, the blocks on the boom are much closer together, so that probably the sheet didn't fall out so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were cotton sails, and there's
That's
Posey.
Posey.
That's
Good
got to
body.
be good body. I think that could be George Hooker.
I think
beside
it was
her.
just that occurred to me too. Looked like him.
Jesus.
Now, here's a fine fellow with a hat. Do we know who he is?
Yes, Minchin,
Minchin.
Harry
Minchin
Minchin.
again.
And I look at this. This is lovely.
It's Eric
Yes, the
Slick.
colonel.
And here comes
Marjorie.
Marjorie. Woohoo.
Bugger off. A lot of boats there, aren't there?
Yes.
From the number one line.
Yes, the number 2 line was awful because there wasn't really enough
Yeah.
room.
No. No, you went out to Laura then. Was it Laura? No.
Yes.
The passage,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a northwesterly, I think.
Yeah.
Grey day on the lake.
Mm.
Yes.
Barrels with flags which you couldn't see,
Yeah.
especially if it was to windward. The flag was pointing towards you. So
And we do your boat a nice bit of damage too.
Well, they
Well,
could tear sails too.
They're giving him a wide berth.
just in case.
Very wise.
Uh,
I think that's Posey Goodbody, probably.
yes.
There's
48 at the time was probably
the whites.
or
White.
Whites. Yes.
Yeah.
Helen White.
Helen.
I served my apprenticeship on that boat.
Oh, very good.
Me too.
The 36. She afterwards belonged to Frank McGann, but I don't know who under then.
36 in 1959 was Mrs. Webb.
Oh, D.J.D. Webb.
She must be the wife of Gordon Webb. I never met him, but the Webb Memorial Room was called after him.
Oh, yes.
It's on again now. Yeah. That's it.
Con. Con Jackson with Mary Hooker on the sheet.
Come here around Goose.
That's Lukey.
Barely moving there.
Yeah, absolutely.
37. There's a gun.
That boat on the left on the island is Andy Colleen's launch, the ESB manager's launch.
The white one.
No,
No, on the left.
Oh, I
Dark-
see.
the
that,
dark
that one there,
Yeah, I see it
the
now.
center of the.
Yeah.
Interesting to see the tricolour on the post.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, I have a feeling that there's more to that than might appear to be the case.
There's Bunny.
Bunny and
Bunny
Posey.
and Posey.
Posey.
Bunny Goodbody and Posey Goodbody. They weren't related except by name. He married man.
And there's
And they're old Vin Delaney and Anna Delaney.
My
Margaret,
grandparents.
Max's grandparents, yeah,
Yeah.
was funny.
Dr. Vincent.
The original owner of Kiwi.
Yeah.
And this is fantastic with the hippo pool,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
or lack of it.
Lack of it. Yeah,
But those are
exactly.
14s.
That
It was
jetty,
definitely a good development when you look at the place like this.
that jetty is in exactly the same place as the present short concrete jetty.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where the punts used to be tied up at night.
Mm.
That's the loo block over on the right.
Yeah.
Of glorious memory.
I love it later on when we have the prize giving in front of the loos.
One of my best memories of the beginning of a regatta was the loos were giving trouble and a lorry drove into the club magnificently entitled "Let O'Brien Shift It."
Yeah, yeah.
And that's Archie Moran.
Moran on the left.
That's Archie
Archie
Moran on
Moran.
the left.
He
and
was
Harry
the
Moran.
agent of Lascelles up in Portumna.
That's right.
He was a Scot, I think.
The family is still around Kilgarvan. One of the his great grandson cut a tree down for me recently.
Oh,
He's in that business.
yeah.
It was threatening the phoenix. It was too close to her where she's tied up.
Ah.
So it had to
That-
come
No.
down.
Bertie and Marjorie Waller going out in an IDRA 14.
Bloody little boats, how do they work?
Yes. Who's that? This fella's having trouble getting in.
Couldn't get around the
Too
mast.
short.
There's the secretary again.
Yeah.
People dressed properly in those days.
Is that Bunny?
That's
Bunny
Bunny.
in the jacket.
That's Pompey in the foreground.
And Bunny on
And
the left.
Pompey used to sail in a combat jacket. And he's wearing his combat jacket
And
there.
there's Al.
All right.
Oh, Pat.
That Bobby had the black hat on. There.
Yes.
And these all the fine young men.
Harry Minchin was well capable of properly dressed. He was a commander of Royal Navy.
That's Peter Gray.
And Peter Gray second from the right, and Johnny Hooper second from the left in the white pullover. Very well-known sailors. Indeed, Peter was coming back to the Shannon for many, many years. It's a lovely new IDRA 14.
Isn't it? The sails have been ironed.
He heard you.
Still cotton.
Yeah, lack of wind,
Where's
I'm
the
afraid.
wind? No wind.
Have they 3 crew?
No, they normally had 2. I think that's a sail bag. Or is it
No,
a person?
no, that's
Oh, he's going swimming, yeah.
Hanamara on the right.
Yeah.
The tiny on the right.
Would the Tiny
painted
have
up.
been a good body boat at that time?
No,
No, it's a Waller.
Waller.
She was
Waller.
Waller's
A Waller
boat.
boat still, yeah.
And they had a house parlour maid and a butler on board.
Fantastic.
Okay.
They really did. I'm not kidding.
No, that's
No, this is Stingy Week in Loch Ree.
But that's
Not
actually
Loch
Dunleary, the picture.
Yeah. Oh, it's Dunleary, yes, the initial shot.
There's Lockery.
Lockery.
Ree.
Fine windy day.
it's
That's the Charles Whitten.
Tynamara.
Charles
Charles
Whitten
Whitten.
out there, yes. Yeah.
and both started moving.
And again, some terrific pictures in
And
Old Phoenix.
And the Phoenix
It's painted white.
looking very well painted white.
We won't discuss it.
And that's the diving board in the corner in the octave.
Yes.
Again, fascinating to... Sorry, Harman.
Yeah, go on.
And fascinating to see with so little development and so few
That's the
jetties
Margot.
at that time.
That's the
Jeff
Mag,
Brown.
the Browns boat, and the Phoenix behind her then. Dropping anchor, I think.
Yeah.
She wasn't sinking that day.
The
Fireflies.
idea of dinghy weeks were separate to the regattas. It was a separate week.
The swimming board is in plenty of these pictures. Famous place.
Mm.
It's funny.
The 61 is Bunny.
Changeling.
Cotton sails.
Sail nicely set.
58 is Walter Leving. Boat builder par excellence, of course.
Yeah.
The sail looks as though it could do with a wash.
Well,
Probably,
it was taken off the hayrick.
And of course, we had this palaver of carrying the spars into the boat shed every night,
Yeah.
which we continued, I think, on probably until about the mid-70s.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well into it.
That's Tom.
I think that's Billy Mooney,
Billy Mooney.
Billy
Yeah.
Mooney, yeah.
my father, Alf,
And that's Alf, of course.
in a Firefly.
What's he doing in a Firefly?
Well, he owned one.
And then who's
That
that?
Why
was
is he-
Douglas Hurd in the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The photographer being photographed.
Yes,
Mm.
great trailer.
They're
Typical of the
wonderful
time.
trailers. Real engineering feats.
Murtagh yacht in the background here.
Yeah, the Yakalous in the background,
Yeah.
attending Dinghy Week. Unfortunately, she was the only one of her class.
Were you crewing at the time, Harman?
No, though I was a very small boy, I was at the second Dinghy Week in Loughree, I think. I'm not sure. As a very small boy, but just as a spectator.
Remember John Weaving's
Nest.
nest? Yeah.
That's
Bunny.
Bunny in his
boiler suit.
boiler suit.
And the centerboard tackle.
Mm.
Yeah. There's the first oilskins on the Shannon.
And the man with
No.
Bunny there is Uffa Fox, the
Oh,
Duke
right.
of Edinburgh's crew.
Fantastic. Yacht designer par excellence.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly.
And he trimmed Bunny's boat, and Bunny always had this elastoplast on the rigging because he never wanted it altered.
The steps.
Uffa Fox also designed the National 18. But
Yes.
he was in the news recently because he won, I think, the Britannia Cup with Prince Philip in 1952.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is in the middle. And the two Delaney's, one on each side.
From Pompey.
Well, this
Oh,
is
this is
terrific.
what this is what Harman Jr. wants back again.
I think next time we'll have a level playing field.
Makes it much more fun that way.
Right, good sport.
History doesn't relate why they weren't sailing. But,
Oh, I think I saw some. It looked like a windy day. You see, look at the
Right.
trees in the
Right.
background.
Mm.
Kept them out of trouble anyway. Hopefully.
Well, there wasn't much of a pub to keep them out of.
True.
And the thatch.
The thatch, yeah.
Mm.
Do we know any of the players?
No.
Not,
No.
don't just recognize them. It's hard to identify them.
I remember Ligia used to say that she recognized all the children by their life jackets. These lot haven't got life jackets, so we can't recognize them.
There's the meeting ID and the passport.
If you're in it, aren't you?
Yeah, but I can't get any volume.
Took an awful lot of them to lift this Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And a great picture there of the diving board.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Charles Whitton painted white.
Yeah.
Looking well. Oh, 12-footer in the background there.
Yeah, there was one or two of them around.
Yeah, there were 3 that sailed in one of the dinghy weeks. And Joe Lister had one, and he used to send the results into the national papers. And for IDRA 14's third J Lister, he was consistently last, but he put himself down as third.
And that was Bunny
That's Dobbs, I think.
That's Dobbs.
Yeah, and there's Billy English in the foreground. He's
taking the numbers.
clearly some sort of organizer.
He's a race officer.
Was the Phoenix a mark on the course?
I know, an obstruction, I suspect.
Yeah.
The only holding ground they could get.
We tend to forget how small and intimate these regattas were. I mean, there weren't a huge number of people involved, or...
Yes.
And of course, the dinghy weeks would be much bigger than the annual regattas, obviously.
Yes. I think at the time IDRAs did not have a spinnaker, I suspect.
No,
I think they
yeah.
came later.
No.
They certainly didn't have the trapeze that they have now.
Yeah. Ah, now this is Peter Delaney, I think.
Running down the jetty.
Yes. Peter, do you think that's you?
And there's Billy English.
Chasing after him.
Yeah.
Not sure, Margaret.
They're trying to get the result. Ooh.
But I do remember Father had Jem Sullivan with him for that regatta.
Yeah.
Now here I think we're about to have 3 young Delaney's. Fairly shortly.
But Bunny in the white suit. Is that Reggie
Yeah.
behind him?
Could be, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
I'm
little Reggie.
Harman, are you running around as a youngster in any of these?
I don't think so, no. But I was at one of the Lochry Dinghy weeks as a spectator.
Yeah.
When Reggie was, I think when Reggie was 10, I was 5.
I'm glad
You'd still be allowed to run around the jetty.
So that must have been the first one, the earliest one, I think.
Yeah. We're in 52 here, yes.
Yeah.
And that's Bunny Con. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I
Yes.
was 7 and Reggie was 12, but I thought he was 10, but maybe he was 12.
I still have that green sail. I'll take it out next year.
Yeah.
Iron it first, Mags.
Oh, I will do. I will do. Put it out in the hay rig. Deal with it properly.
Is that Sid sailing?
I
No.
didn't see him there, but he could be.
Well, sailing 37.
Yeah. That's the 50.
Yeah.
Lister.
Yeah, she's still a bit like that, isn't she? The bloody 50.
Yeah.
Always ahead of you.
And there's a 37. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the man on the left is Simon Mulvihill, who is the club caretaker. And the man with the glasses is Nick Healy. He had a very long nose and he bought a snipe. And when he came up the river with his snipe, someone said, oh, here's Nick Healy with the snipe. And old Johnny Duffy, who was an old, paid hand, was in the club. And he said, which of them is the snipe? Because they both had nose.
Now, here's
That's Bunny Conn on the left, and Marion Leving in the centre, and Billy English reading out the results.
And Walter in the background.
The man with the jersey in the background is Jodie Gallagher, I think. Or maybe it's Walter.
And the lady in the back with the
the
green...
lady in the green cardigan is Daisy Nolan. She was Simon's sister. I'd say she was doing the teas and things. And she afterwards became the caretaker in Lockree. Simon had a proud Republican record, but after that, he worked in the woolen mills and he lost his hand and 3 fingers in his other hand. So he had a hook on one hand, and he poor fellow, and the club sort of employed him as caretaker to kind of to help him out. He'd nothing.
That was Jim.
Yeah.
Alf.
And there's Walter
in the background.
And that's Lionel Lister with the collecting that trophy. Who's this?
Walter?
That's Bertie, of course. Bertie Waller, yeah.
Mary.
And Mary in the
Mary
fabulous
Hooker.
trousers and her big tails.
Oh, she loved those trousers and the green jumper.
They lasted for years.
That's Douglas
Years.
Mellon.
Douglas Mellon, for anyone who knows him.
Oh, yeah.
That's Douglas Mellon, yeah. Well done, John. Yeah. And that's Nick Healy making his speech.
With his ex-army top.
He was a colonel in the army, or had been. I think he was retired at that stage.
You see how it took at the sailing gear?
Terrific.
Peacocks.
Yeah. A lack of jetties in the foreshore there.
There's Bertie Waller again, learning
sports jacket, collar and tie.
In a firefly.
No life jacket. Now here's young
Delaney's. They're young Delaney's.
Peter and Owen in the background and Vincent in the foreshore.
Look, there's Paul.
Looking just like Paul. Yeah.
It's image of Paul.
Yeah.
There's Bertie heading off.
And Marjorie.
Move over, Marjorie.
And Pompey, I think, is it?
Oh, where's Bunny Conn?
And the cigarettes, fantastic, these cigarettes on the boat.
Yeah.
Well, it helped you to know where the wind was coming from.
That was Ted Croxon. Light day, get the pipe out.
Yes.
Yeah, or heavy day.
That's Billy
and Bunny.
And Bunny.
It was obviously a swapsy of boats, wasn't there? The club members were sailing the visitors' boats.
Surprising a cruiser going through a minute ago, because there were so few boats on the river in those days.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get moving, chaps. There we are. No shed, no North Shore in Lockree.
No, but the boathouse is still the same.
Yeah. The roof's painted.
Loch Dergragat in 1953.
That's why it's got battleships in the front of it.
Yes.
And dragons.
Here we are. The 37 being launched.
Yeah.
Good attendance. We got her in. Alf heading off.
And the clatter of club boats around the place.
Yeah, they were great, weren't they?
Unless you had to maintain them.
Yeah, that's the tiny.
With his mast down.
And the boat in front of her there is the Betwixt.
Yeah.
And we might get another view of her in a minute.
No, that's Ruth Hurd.
Oh, jolly good. Is this a Waller lady?
I think so.
Yes.
Waller girls they were, weren't they?
I think that's Edgar, probably.
They all bought the same trousers. And that's Mrs.
Peggy Turbot looking for her
fag.
And
she's looking for her fags.
She's looking for her fags, yeah. It's a desperate situation, no fags.
She's found them.
She's found.
Couldn't cast off without the one lit. she was the lady who admonished me for having my shackles with
sticking out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the very beginning. Never forgot that lesson.
Well, she was very fierce.
She was an ambulance driver in the Second World War.
Good on her.
In North Africa.
Oh, right.
Wow.
There was another story that she trained people that have been sent into France, you know, spies or whatever.
I heard that too. I would have.
I suspect some of these tales.
I did crew for her, and I would think it's probably true.
There's a brave firefly, by the way, going back over the line.
Yeah.
The colonel will shout at you. Lola?
33 is Lola.
But Lola on the helm. It must be the ladies' race.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that Betty steering?
Betty steering the 61, yeah.
Betty Goodbody, that was.
Yeah.
Someone else coming back.
Someone
61.
Now that's Ruth.
Yeah, yeah.
Tina Mara is still manoeuvring.
That's the stern of the Valentia just going out of.
Yeah, there's the Valencian, yeah, on the left.
No, that's the.
Oh, that's the Vag. That's
the Vag, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Valentia's always further over.
And that's the Betwixt at the end of the goose, which Colonel Harry Rice described as, if you'll pardon the expression, the boat full of arseholes because of the three big port lights on each side.
Guy Landon owned her in Banagher.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Married a Waller.
That's the
That's the Valentia, bottom left.
Yes.
Now in the UK, back in the UK. She was a doctor's launch from the Thames.
Mm.
Do we think she's still on the Thames?
No, we don't. We think she's somewhere in the. She was on the Kennet Navan.
Oh.
And I lost her after that. I don't know where she's gone.
We've never seen her on the Thames, and this stage we've been around quite a bit.
No, she's still to the good, I gather.
Good. Go to Windermere.
And has been re-engined and tidied up.
Oh, jolly good. Now, small boy there. Do we know who that is?
Not sure.
No.
Is that Lavag?
That's Lavag, yeah.
That's Lavag, yeah.
Jocelyn, were you in any of these pictures? We're not recognising you.
I might have been, because I was around in 1953, because that was when I was at school at Castle Park, and would have been, I was certainly in Loughrea in 1954.
This is the long distance race. They're racing upwards, coming into Port Tumna.
And you were allowed to row was very key on this.
That's right. And here's a pair of oars out.
Yeah.
There were times when you had to. That aisle behind.
There's the gun.
There's the gun, yeah.
Well, I think that they all got guns in those days.
Yeah, there's another gun.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a
horses didn't like it.
No, they didn't.
No.
Another gun.
40.
Our cartridges were cheap. They were made in Loughrea.
Aye.
Yeah.
They're rowing away like blazes.
Yes. A fantastic tight finish with the rowing going on.
Dead heat.
Yeah. Gee, I wouldn't like to be judging that.
No.
No. Which green bush was the other end of the line?
Exactly.
What is that?
Something 67.
67.
Mm.
Thought, yeah.
It's the
Below
Castle
the-
Portumna below the bridge.
Mm.
Yes, no jetties in Portumna.
No.
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 Lots of people just, and very little use of that whole area where the cut. A lot more water in that cut than there is now. A lot of that's been filled in, I think.
Iron oxide paint on the bridge.
Looks awful. Oh. Now, I wonder what year this is.
Hmm.
Small boy.
50.
Now we're into 72.
No.
No,
I'd
it's
say
not.
about 55 or something like that, I'd guess.
Yeah.
The two yacht clubs got out their programs with some gold on them, and we put the two programs together in a little folder with the cover, which some of which are still around. And we tried to have exactly the same program in Loughrea and in Loughdurg, including the Waller Medal, which was sailed on the two lakes, you know, as that year. That was the condition just for 1 year. Hardress presented it specially and had it made up.
The staples are new.
Mm.
No, we're back on Derg again.
Back on Derg, I think.
Yeah.
We are. I think that's Ted Croxon in the
Blue.
dark blue sail.
Yeah, it is. And Roger Hatfield back in the red and blue sail.
And
Yes.
I would guess that's the is that the Pink Panther or is it?
Yeah.
There was the Pink
Right.
Panther was there on the right. It was earlier on. Or I should say on the left, it was earlier on.
Whoa.
And this is Teddy Knight. Tacking.
Yes. 93.
And
Yeah.
that's Roger Hatfield, the red and blue sail, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
You'll see Huskies soon. 37 with a blue sail.
That's Liza O'Cleary.
Oh, Liza with the red stripe.
59.
59, yeah.
And there's 53.
I don't know
That's
what
not the 53.
I don't know what boat that is.
I think that's 102.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's certainly Hardress sailing it anyway.
Yeah, look at this. And here you are, Peter.
Here's Peter Huskinson. Must be in the lead.
59 Liza again.
59, yeah.
These shots were taken from
Louis.
from the Harklow.
Yeah.
There's the 80 with Harman sailing it.
Louis Courtney.
Yeah, Louis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 91, yeah.
Ooh.
Michael Courtney on the left.
Right.
Yes.
And here's John Lefroy in the 82.
John
The
Lefroy.
82 in the yellow sail.
And
Yeah.
squeezing in, or a.
Teddy.
And this is. Don't know who's the crew. The Oppies now in.
Still in the old clubhouse.
Yeah, gone green
Gone
though.
green.
It is. Looks well this time.
Hmm.
I guess the paint had to pretend it was looking, it was
Yeah,
holding up.
and the balcony has changed. It's been filled in a bit.
Yeah.
This was the
Miranda.
extension to the jetties. The Miranda extended one jetty, and
The Fox.
extended the
Fox.
outer jetty.
Teddy.
56. Teddy
And
Croxon.
there are all the boats out on the
Goose.
Goose. And there we are with the 80
That's the
sail,
102.
80 and the 80 with
80 is the red
red
sail.
sail.
And the 33. Is that the
Three.
33?
33, yeah.
I think
That's
it's
the trouble.
There's
Lola
troublesome.
That's
There's
Peter Wilson.
troublesome.
Joe and a child in the 33.
yeah. And Troublesome and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And boats I don't know. And
The
then
Arachne.
The Arachne.
And the
Yes.
Hark,
Sailing boat.
The
And
Hark.
then Capella and the Hark.
Yeah.
The Hark was Ronnie Baskin.
Motorboats have certainly improved since then.
It's just kind of a shooting thing.
There goes John Lefroy. Oh, no wind.
The gap there to get through
This
it.
is in the red as well, is it? Or no, that's nothing.
Or did 62 get the wind?
79 is John Fletcher.
We had the barge.
9.
It's 79.
I think it's 70. Maybe.
There's 279 sails there. So the second one with the blue sail, I think, is probably the real boat. That one is probably the boat.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
white anyway.
Yeah.
Hull was white.
she was a Lomax boat, wasn't she?
She was.
Yeah, didn't get out of her own way.
A couple of old Enterprises.
Very much an era, I suspect, when Artie and Una would have been very second the
Yeah,
pace
they
of
were
Enterprises.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big into Enterprises. And the boat. Move it over here.
'72 is David Miller.
Hmm.
And the 106 is Peter Wilson.
Peter Wilson, yes.
And then 95?
95 is Michael Courtney.
Yeah.
Roger Hatfield is the red and blue sail.
And we're
And
55, it's the egg, isn't it?
the egg is
The egg with
Yeah.
with the old
55.
with the old
Orange
cotton
sail.
sail.
Robin Cubitt.
yeah.
I think she was the last cotton sail to be sailed in.
Ronnie kept cotton sails going for a bit too.
No, I think the 55.
there's Peter Dobbs at the end of the jetty there.
Liza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely sunny day. Now here's a few children who should be recognised. I wonder.
That was Jim.
Oh, this is the stuff.
Eddie Knight.
Uh,
Pete Hoskinson. Oh, with the 112 sail up. Yes, it is.
yeah. '06 is
Peter Wilson.
Yeah.
oh, it's great stuff.
And the 100 there are the
It's
Reinhardts.
the Reinhardts, yeah. The jibe is on now. Ooh.
Actually, my book in front of me says the Reinhardts only got the 173.
Well,
Well, it's definitely them because they had a red and white stripy sail to begin with. Didn't they?
who's in the drink?
Hardress, is it?
Oh, Hardress.
It has a look of Hardress.
That's
I
them,
may be wrong. I may be wrong, but
Not a usual man to go into the drink, though.
No.
Something.
it has a
too-
look of his life jacket and his life jacket and his hat.
One. I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
another boat.
Wrong color.
It's another bird. Different one.
Is
No buoyancy.
And it looks a bit like the rescue boat had one person in it.
Yes, it does.
There's Fitzgerald.
Almost certainly, yes.
Now, we don't know who this baby is.
Maybe they'll admit to who
Anybody
it
claim
is.
it?
That's
Eddie
Ted
Knight.
Nigel.
Eddie. And that's Fruin's husband. And that's Eileen Fruin and Betty.
Betty.
And
This the
Bonnie.
Rumi thing.
And old Louis
Louis
Courtney talking to the man in the black pullover.
Who
And
is,
is that Robin in the
and there's
Eric.
Eric
Eric Hooker.
Colonel.
and old Dr.
That's
Courtney,
old Louis on the right, yeah.
and Betty
In the middle.
and Bonnie and Eric
Is that-
and down in the foreground is cousin Sheila,
And it's
It
not
is.
Robin Cubitt. I thought
Robin
I saw
Cubitt in the
Hardress.
oilskin.
Yeah.
and there's Arders.
Hardress going out.
Alf Delaney.
Alf.
Hasn't changed a bit, has it?
There's Mary.
Mary.
Yeah. Nice picture.
Okay.
If I could do more, I would.
Teddy with Darcy on board.
Unmistakable.
Yes.
Hmm.
No, I think this is Ted with Harry crewing.
Yeah, but Harry with a beard. I don't remember.
Yes.
him. Well, that's Darcy, definitely.
That's Darcy.
Ted Croxton.
Yeah.
There's you, Harmy.
Mm.
Who would have been sailing with you, Harman?
Don't know.
Might have been Jim as well.
Geordie.
Yeah.
The steamboat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fine picture of her.
Beside the St.
Cheers,
James.
yeah.
Ah, there she is.
With the Reinhardt kids.
Towing the 100.
Put on another briquette.
There's Mavis Croxton on the right.
Joe Leach
Yes,
in the middle.
Jolie.
Jolie.
Anna.
Oh, and that's Tony Dean, is it? Released back to us.
Cheers,
I've just
yeah.
stopped it for a moment.
Duncan Bain there, and Lola and Anna.
That's right.
Yeah. Right, we'll keep moving.
Where is that, please?
That's
That's-
the whiskey still.
There's Sean Flannery and Mary.
Yeah. And his wife, and Teddy. And Tony
Tony
Dean.
Dean in the
on the
background.
right.
And prize has been given out. Teddy, guess your first one?
Child on the right in a dress.
I don't know. And that's young Fruin.
Bruin.
That's Fruin,
William
yeah,
Fruin,
William
yeah.
Fruin.
This is young marriage.
That's Posy Marriage.
Posy.
Picking up my prizes.
Ted Croxton.
Ted.
Alf. Posy again.
There's Posey.
Yeah.
There's David Miller, I think. It looks like him from the back. Am I right?
Yes.
Well, when was Sean Flannery Commodore?
Yeah, and this is you, Harman.
We think we're 72 or thereabouts.
Huskinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Husky. Yeah.
He was. There he goes again.
Oh, he was up and down. And
Yeah.
we see a young Peter Wilson swim. Bunny.
That's Bunny.
Mhm.
I don't know who that child is.
It's Bill Jackson in the background, the club
That's Hardwick,
secretary.
that's Hardwick.
Yeah.
Partners.
Teddy Croxton.
Mm.
Ardress again.
Again.
Peter Wilson.
Peter Wilson. That's boys. I don't know who this is. That's
The end.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very good.
Oh,
Well, I'm stopping sharing my screen, Naomi.
Brilliant, Mags. That was super. Thank you, everybody. And
Thank you very much.
The excellent commentary. I don't know if it's a situation for questions, but if anyone has questions or comments or want to share a story, please do.
Can I?
Yeah, Reggie.
When in 1952, when I was up in Loughree, the Phoenix was there, and the Tynamara was in the background with Bertie. But the boat that really featured was Charles Swinton and belonged to Barney Heron. And Bertie, and the wind got up, and the Tynamara started to drag towards Charles Swinton. I can distinctly remember as a 12-year-old Barney coming out of the Charles Swinton with a shotgun and saying to Bertie, "If you come any further, I'll shoot you." The upshot was that suddenly the Tynamara stopped dragging and the explosions took off. But they were very entertaining times. After that, the Phoenix went into the inner lakes, and then she went off up to Tarmanbarry. And on the way back from Tarmanbarry, Pompey and and Eric Hooker were crew. And Eric, being tall, used to bang his head off the bulkhead going down into the saloon. And out in the middle of the lake, and it was blowing like stink, and Phoenix was pitching into these long waves, and they were breaking back over the wheelhouse, and it really was quite exciting. And Bunny and Pompey thought it'd be a good idea to tell Eric that there was a bus outside. So he came up and he banged his head yet again. As a 12-year-old, I thought this was great entertainment. The boat down on the back of the Goose Island, Harmy, was not actually the Betwixt. She had a different porthole. It was the orange pip.
Oh, the orange pip, yeah.
And I don't know who owned her in those days, but yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting and entertaining.
Reggie, while you're there, what was the boat with its open cockpit on the island, with its nose into the island, in about the middle of the island? You didn't notice?
Can't remember, no.
White boat with varnished wheelhouse, etc.
No, I don't know. I have some still photographs myself somewhere. In fact, they're in the archives of the Yacht Club now, of all the boats. And if I could look at them with a pair of glasses, I can probably remember most of them. But there were one or two that I couldn't recognize in that shot that came up there.
Yeah, yeah.
My father was secretary for the first dinghy week in Drummondere. In actual fact, he caused him a nervous breakdown, and but he got so uptight about everything, and he ran the whole thing from a caravan, and it was quite an adventure.
Quite an undertaking then.
Thanks, Rosie. Anyone else before we wrap up?
When did we start wearing life jackets, or when did the sailors between the 50s and 70s get into life jackets?
Early 70s.
1962.
Yes, but they weren't compulsory.
They were compulsory from 1962 on. Yeah. There was some, Harmy, you probably remember, there was...
I remember there was a general meeting of the class, the annual general meeting, and I remember, I think it was Squirrel Green proposed the motion that life jackets be worn compulsorily, and it passed. Yeah.
There was some girl down from Trinity who damn near drowned.
Yes, that was something, yes.
And that precipitated the discussion kind of thing.
If I may come in again, the actual meeting was tipped by Pompey, who said that a life jacket would be cheaper than a funeral.
Very practical. Very practical.
And the other thing now that I think about it, Dot and Gwen went to the first dinghy week, and there were a whole lot of Trinity students, people like George Henry and David Ryder, and a sort of pretty rowdy young gentleman in brackets. And Dot and Gwen had a tiny little Austin 7. And one morning they came out to find it was suspended off the yard arm of the flagpole. They didn't know how to get it up
there. Their afternoon tea.
They were excellent. The afternoon teas in those days were quite splendid.
Yeah.
Dot and Gwen produced a sort of a marrow and ginger jam, which I was completely addicted to.
Yeah.
So were the wasps, unfortunately.
Myself and the wasps.
Yeah. And the Pride and Enid would come out for afternoon tea. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, I do indeed.
Pride.
I remember the scones, Jeff, you with the sort of afternoon, the tongue test.
Fred Price collected the money.
Yeah.
1 in 6.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Martin Maguire didn't feature, John, but he must have been at some of those regattas.
He certainly, yeah. He was a character you could go on about for years. I mean, how the hell he ever got into an enterprise? I was crew, by the way. I mean, Martin was 16 or 17 stone. in an enterprise. I mean, I remember we capsized up in doing training up in Loch Derg, and we were damn lucky to get out of it, actually, because I bailed the boat out. That was no problem. But then faced with trying to get 16 stone of marten into an enterprise in March. And luckily, a speedboat came out from Killaloe and rescued us and got us back. But otherwise, we would have been in dire straits. I was going to capsize the enterprise and float marten in, and then try and get it upright again. Anyway,
not a life jacket in sight, of course.
Was it a snipe he sailed in Loch Derg for a while?
He did originally, yeah.
And they had a very low freeboard, I remember, and Martin was sort of sitting in the lake in his snipe, you know. He's underwater a good bit of the time.
Well, they leaked as well.
Yeah. He was very kind when I was a little boy and starting to go down to Thames in for the regattas. He sort of took me under his wing, and I would have breakfast with him. Breakfast was boiled bacon and cabbage.
Yeah.
set you up for the day.
I went off to a Corrib regatta with them, and he produced in the early hours of Saturday morning 2 steaks which weighed about £1.5 pounds each, and asked me whether I could light the primus and would I cook them for him and me. And we solemnly sat there, and I said to him, what the hell? And it suddenly dawned on me, of course, it was Friday and he couldn't eat any, but after midnight on Friday, he could eat the steak. His steak had to be a matchstick length thick.
Oh God!
He wouldn't buy a steak unless it was a matchstick length thick.
Martin used to camp in the back of the yacht club for the regatta, and he would entertain Dot and Gwen to dinner. And they looked forward to this, but it was very entertaining because they also were given a steak each, which of course they're not the slightest capability of eating. They were great fun.
Or pig's cheeks. That was his other speciality.
I think that's what they had at the famous dinner party in Loughree, which consisted of himself, Paddy Lenihan, and Derek Hooker. And it went on until the small hours in an old a railway wagon that we had on the shore at Hudson Bay. And the pot in which the pig's cheek was cooked in was, well, the lid of the pot was then presented as the Grunter's Plate, which is a novelty race that we have in Loughree, in case you don't know. But the thing was, Paddy Lenihan owned the hotel and he was used to living in the hotel, but he wasn't really able to go home after the party. But true to form, he put his shoes outside the door of the railway wagon for the boots to polish them during the night. And in the morning, they were full of water from the rain.
Oh God.
Yes, Martin's version of the juice of the barley is the thing that always stays with me.
Great song, yeah.
Yeah. He had a way of singing it.
Yeah.
He sat up in the pub stool, or the pub in where Puckon, in a string vest is what I remember him, and shorts.
Rather capacious shorts, which was slightly inadequate.
Oh, very inadequate.
It added greatly to the education of a lot of the young ladies around, I think.
Talking about that song, Tom Kelly got a hold of him in a bank in Galway, I think it was, and got him to write out the words, and Tom typed them, and I have a copy of that. So
great characters.
Great character.
Was.
Right.
It's maybe fair to say, when all that stuff was going on about abuse of children in homes and so on, there was a lady in RTE, she died since, that did a radio program and then a television program about it. But I was listening to the radio program one morning, and to my amazement, Martin Maguire featured, and he came out of it very well. He had a little lad that was sent off to the reformatory in Glynn and escaped and was brought back by the lug and then escaped again. And his mother came to Martin, who was a class of a public representative in that he was a member of the Port and Docks Board in Limerick.
Chairman of.
And anyway, she came to Martin. So Martin took up the cudgels on the little lad's behalf and saved him from being sent back. So he emerged from this as one of the very few people that emerged with any honour from all that scandalous saga. Yeah.
Great.
The time that Oliver turned up for the board meeting at St. David's with Morris and Oliver's father, and he came up in a helicopter. And that day, the helicopter took out most of the regatta, and that's where all the lovely photographs aerial photographs came from Kevin Burnell, who was a local photographer. But that evening, during the day, the guards had to supply security for the helicopter, so the sergeant came down from Buckhorn on his bicycle to provide security. And the helicopter, at one stage, the pilot said to my father, he was getting a bit low on oil, would my father drive into Nina and bring back a couple of gallons of oil? So I did that. And that evening, the party was up in Nels, up in Pucorn, and as it's been described by the female people like Anne, the shorts weren't quite adequate. The party was getting on, but the sergeant was very keen on his pint. And they said, the locals knew this. They said, well, Sergeant, would you describe how it was like going up in the helicopter? And the sergeant would pick up his pint and he'd swallow half of it and put it down. And he said, it goes up like this, he said, holding the pint. And another pint was slid up because he got absolutely plastered. My mother was laughing her head off. I can still remember it. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, everybody.